All right, so my name is Dara and I write for Technext Media. We're a media house in Lagos. So what about you? You said you lived in Nigeria for a while. What was that like?
It was interesting. I lived there for a year as head of expansion for Flutterwaves. So it was a shock to the system, but I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's good.
I really enjoy and like Nigeria.
All right. So while I was looking through your profile on the internet, I saw that you were one of the participants for the Zane Africa Challenge. You represented your university.
You went back very far. Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. It was pretty exciting for me because I used to watch that show like religiously. So I was like, oh yes, now I know somebody who was actually on that show.
I was on that show and we lost because I let people tell me who to place as captain of the team, and I let them tell me to play someone who we had never played. At the semifinals, he was like, I want a chance to get on TV and all of this. He froze the entire time. He couldn't answer any question, to the point where they had to stop the game and tell me, it looks like you're giving him the answers. I was like, I'm just checking to see he's there because I don't hear a sound coming.
So what has that experience taught you now?
To listen to my intuition when it comes to these things. I'm a big believer in following my intuition.
All right, that's great. So tech, how did that happen? You did environmental studies and now you're this seasoned person in tech industry. So how did that happen?
So I have an environmental science degree. When I was 16 years old, I did this fellowship called Peace Jam. And Peace Jam works with young people and pairs them with Nobel laureates to teach them more about like wanting to change the world. So in my year, the Nobel laureates were I think her name is Jodie Smith and Wangari Maathai. And Wangari Maathai was the most electric person I had ever met. Before that, I wanted to go to law school. And just like that whole listening to her speak for like 3 days, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to fight for the environment. I'm ready to do this. And yeah, so I changed my course and I did that. University, I did Zane Africa Challenge. That was like basically an extracurricular activity, and then the following year that I coached the teams. And then I had a whole 5-year career working in international development. I was in carbon monitoring for 5 years, and it was international development wasn't what I expected, in the sense that you get a good salary and you're going to work in this place where people are so poor, and it was almost like poverty porn. Like you go and watch and see how we're going to help. We might be helping, but at the end we go and have a lunch that's basically 3 family salaries. So it just was congruent to me with the things that I wanted to do in life, and I didn't think we were actually making that change, if that makes sense. Because we're right people who have all these ideas about how the world should be coming to Africa. And also there was like a glass ceiling as a Black woman in international development. Everybody in upper management was white, and there was a point after which I would not be able to go. So I realized that really quickly. And in my last job in international development, I used to go to Nigeria. Now let me tell you about my love story in Nigeria. Bad mood, I watch old Nollywood movies. My search history on YouTube is Patient was
right.
Village movies, all of Osiono, that's her name, right? Big R&B movies. I really enjoy those. So I've been watching those for a while. I don't like the whole stuff, but I just really enjoy like Evil Stepmother because it's so bad it's good. It's so bad it's good. I really love it. It's camp, right? So bad it's good. And like it's just an easy way for me to de-stress. And then I was also watching, I think, a few Nigerian vloggers around that time, CME mostly.
Wow.
And I was like,
okay.
I feel a connection to this place. I don't know what it is. So my first trip to Lagos, I remember getting out of MMA and we're driving to my hotel and I'm like, oh my God, it looks just like the movies. That should have worried me because I was watching early 2000 movies and this was 2015, 2016. But yeah, I really enjoyed Nigeria and I wanted to move. But there was no way for me to move because Nigeria doesn't really have international development, right? So I happened to get a chance to consult for a company and they brought me to Nigeria. The consulting gig didn't work out, but at the same time, I realized I like Nigeria. So what it was is my first trip was maybe 5 days. It was a work trip. My other trip was 10 days because I remember I extended it through to Easter. So it ended up being 10 days. And then I was like, okay, I need to spend like multiple weeks here to see if I actually like it or it's just, the newness of a place and then it'll rub off. See, I never took flights. I was still okay. I remember in my hotel, there was no water and they gave me more buckets to wash.
Oh my days. Oh wow.
And the thing about my there's no customer service. So even if I complain, Ma, don't vex now. Sorry now. That's just how it is. And I was like, okay, this is happening and I can still deal with it, then I should live here. So GB, I knew E for a long time, who was the CEO of Flutterwave then. Okay. But he was like, we're friends, I can't be the person to interview before I speak to my co-founder. And so I spoke to GB and GB came into the meeting and he was like, I follow you on Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay. So I need to pause the story there and tell you what was happening on Twitter at that time. Do you know what Ushahidi is?
No, I don't.
So Ushahidi was this platform. You know how Kenya is called the Silicon Savannah?
Yeah.
So it was something like that had started the thing. So Ushahidi was a crowdsourcing platform that was started 2007, 2008 to help people crowdsource, one, where there was violence so they could avoid it, because we almost went into civil war because of our elections, and then also where there was foodstuffs, fuel, and stuff like that. So it was a crowdsourcing platform, information that you crowdsource and then everyone gets to see it. Ushahidi, if you Google this, there are articles on Tech Cover with my name and everything that happened at Ushahidi. So Ushahidi had a sexual harassment claim. One of their workers said that she was sexually harassed by the director and they made her life hell. Okay. I didn't know this girl, but like the way they were treating her was so wrong. And remember what I just told you about justice and how I view the world and how I ended up doing what I did. And for me, right is right and wrong is wrong. So I was speaking up and I was speaking up really loudly. And so I was also in an uncomfortable place when he said, I follow you on Twitter, because he saw me really ratioing these people because I let them have it. They treated her really badly. They were acting like they were tough. And who had a long history of being like a sexual deviant, was in a better place than she was. So I was very vocal about it. So when he said, I follow you on Twitter, I was like, oh crap. But like, it was a very good conversation. I think it was good because it was an introduction to the kind of person that I am, in the sense that I speak up and this is how I am. So we had a conversation. He was like, I want you to join. This is the work I want you to do. And I was like, you know what? I like it so much, I'm going to do it. So I committed to doing that. And that's how my career in tech started.
Oh wow, that's interesting. And then you went from Flutterwave to other companies. I think your latest one was with Neom. Did I get that right? Is it pronounced Neom? Yes.
Neom.
Neom. Okay, Neom. That's great. So how did you go from that? Because I feel like maybe you would have found a sense of purpose in that space. So what led to you starting your own business with Credrails?
It was a couple of things. So after Flutterwave, I joined a business called Rapid, which is valued at over $10 billion now. And it was one of the best experiences of my life because I worked with the most impressive people from all over the world. So it was ex-PayPal, ex-Grab, a CEO and co-founder who had already sold another company successfully. So it was a very different environment. It was still a startup, but it was a startup with a lot of resources and a lot of really smart people. So it was quite the learning experience. Now, what it showed me is how Africa was treated. Like, we were the last ones that people wanted to integrate with. It was so difficult to see us as a place to do business. Who are the clients? Can we sell them? And it's in comparison to the Americas, to Asia, even to Latin America. And I thought about it. So when I joined NIAM, I was also doing this as VP for Middle East and Africa. NIAM is also a unicorn. And it was good to have, but it was like, what's the opportunity? It was very difficult to sell the African opportunity. I'm a big believer of this continent. I've always been, and I made sure that I stayed here, or my work was always Africa focused. And so I thought about, why is it so difficult for Africa to be taken seriously? It's because it's 50 plus countries that are broken up basically, so that you have to go to each to be able to find it. But if you were to connect this, what's the opportunity? So that was the first thing. The second thing was, there was nothing left. 2 unicorns, 1 decacorn, already in charge of Middle East, Africa. After that would be Europe, Middle East, and Africa. It was like, it's time for a bigger challenge and for me to grow. And I'm a big believer in always pushing that limit internally. Like, always, what's the next thing? I'm a big believer in pushing yourself. So I told the CEO, so I used to report directly to the CEO, and I told him I was leaving. He was so supportive. He's actually an investor in our business. And yeah, that was how I started this business. I knew my co-founder from my time working in international development. So we worked at a startup, which was actually a renewable energy startup together. And I was employee number 1, she was employee number 2. And we basically built that business out into 4 countries, raised funding for them, launched a product. So we knew what it was like to work at a startup, and we always knew we wanted to work together again. She, by happenstance, happened to join a business called BitPesa at that point, that's now As a Finance. And I actually recommended her because I knew the founding team. And they were looking for someone in finance, and so she moved from head of finance to COO at that company. So when I had the idea, I came up to her and I was like, hey, do you want to do this? And she was like, yes, let's do it. And here we are.
That's interesting. So why did you choose open finance or open banking? When I was reading on it, it seems so similar, but at the same time, I think there's a measure of difference. So why open finance?
Well, the way I look at it is that open banking is just giving people access to data, and finance is more like, what can we do to the data? What exactly can we do to the data? Why did I choose it? That thing I told you about how Africa was treated like the red-headed stepchild. I thought, how can we change my perception of this place that I love? I call this business my love letter to Africa, because it's not just about how people see us, it's about aggregating the opportunity, as well as building a community of people who are going to build on top of us. One of the things that working at these businesses have given me is a certain degree of freedom financially, and that's given me the headspace to be able to think about problems, right? When you're not worrying about money, when you're not worrying about where the next bill is going to come from, there's certain creativity that's unlocked, which is why people are japping, right? When you don't have to worry about generator, all of these problems that you have in Nigeria, you're able to be very. That's the same thing that working at a startup has given me. And I want to be able to, one, give that to the people that work for us. That's very important to me, that people are able to see the reward the way I have seen working at international startups. That's number one. And that's like in terms of ESOPs and all of that, right? I want to do that for my team. That's very, very important to me. So we have a really generous ESOP plan. And it's also really important to me to help the next generation of startups that are going to build on top of us. So the way we're looking at the problem right now is the aggregation and the use cases, and then now the community that's going to build on top of that. So we're going to do some work in the coming years on building out that community, but I really want to give my all to that when it comes to like helping with fundraising, all of that stuff that you can actually do. And not in a gatekeeping kind of way, but in the sense that I want to show the love I have for this, the way I want other people to see this continent the way I see it. I want other people to experience success the way I have. I'm a big believer in there being enough for everybody.
That's great. So knowing how Africa is like 55 different countries with their own set of regulations, and you giving other developers access to data and helping them build their products, how has that been, trying to get that data from countries with different regulations?
Right. So I think that I'm the best place to run this business because I basically built the Rails for FinTech 1.0 for payments, right? That was my job as head of expansion. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. And it's bringing that experience to bear as I build this business. So it's working with regulators, it's working with banks directly to be able to make this happen. So it's calling back on my experience to be able to do this and help us build this out. There's a lot of education that's required. There's a lot of conversations, but we're open and we're willing because, like I said, this is a love letter to Africa. It's a question of what can you do? What's the thing that I can do to make sure other people see this beautiful thing that I see in its full beauty? So it's worth the time. To me, it's worth the time. It's worth the sacrifice. It's worth the difficulty.
Right. So how has funding been so far for you, for the startup? I saw that you were a beneficiary of the Emerge cohort for 2020. Was it 2020 or 2019? So how has that been?
2020.
Yes.
2021. Top 5 now an investor in our business, which is fantastic. So I'll put it like this. 2% of all VC funding goes to women, not Black women, not women from Africa, women all over the world. 2%. So imagine when you drill down to the fact that I'm African, to the fact that I'm Black, to the fact that, it's difficult to raise funding, but we've been able to do it because I have a track record, because I have experience doing this. So it hasn't been as difficult for me, but I understand it can be difficult for a lot of people because it's about networks, it's about communication, it's about being able to sell your idea in a way other people will get it. So when I speak to you, you can see that we have similar, I can tell you about NEPA. See, I can tell you about people Japai. I know how to say Dara. There's a certain commonality, and it's the same way with investors. People trust people who sound like them, and I think that's part of the reason. So hopefully, as we build up that community I'm talking about, we can change those statistics a bit. But we've been able to raise, and we've closed around our seed round because we bootstrapped. We didn't raise a pre-seed, we bootstrapped, and then the first money in was the seed round.
I tried checking for the exact amounts that you raised, but I didn't find that. So how much did you raise? How much have you raised so far as a startup?
So we raised 2.5 because that was the only million. That was the only money that has come in. So we raised 2.5.
2.5, okay. So what is the role of open financing encouraging financial inclusion?
All right. So, we don't have credit scores in most parts of Africa. The way credit works is that asset-based. You have to have an asset to be able to get access to credit. But for you to be able to buy an asset, you need access to credit. It's kind of like a chicken and egg thing. So we want to open up the access to information so that there's a different way of looking at people. If you pay your bills on time, if you're good with your money, you should be able to get access to finance if you're able to afford it. And that's the kind of information that we want to do. So we have products like a lending analytics engine that allows lenders to look at your bank statements, and we offer them that information. It shows affordability. It shows affordability. It shows your debt to income ratio, those kinds of things, so that they can use that to ascertain your ability to pay, because I think that's a lot better than an asset, because how many people are going to sell their asset? It's just like a whole drawn out process. So that was also very important to me, making sure that people who can pay have that kind of information, and then also that people understand the power of that information, because having access to that information and being able to share it puts you in a position where we hope one day people will be able to compete to give you access to finance because you're a good person, you're a good customer.
All right. So you already went to my next question about the promising use cases of open finance in Africa. So that's like giving people the access to financial services. So for Credrails as as an API for developers to build their products upon, what are some of the other use cases we can have for developers in this instance?
Multiple things is KYC. We have a different, I think one of the things is that we have a very different approach when it comes to getting this information. We partner more than just scrapping. So banks that have access to APIs, we ask them to partner with us to give us access to that so that, and it also has to have the customer consent. Customer consent is really key in all data protection and all data sharing. So the customer has to give access to be able to get that. So your question was, what are the other use cases? They have KYC, there's payments, though we're not really going into payments at the moment. There's reconciliation, there's a variety of things that can be done with this. And we are just starting to scratch that surface. And another thing that I think is really important is that the use cases look a little different as you go into new countries.
All right, I figured I was going to ask if the API, the Rails that Credrails is working on, if it is a one solution fits all or there will be customized solutions for each countries.
Our approach to this is let's aggregate all the information, let's build certain use cases, and then once we've connected everything, let's open it up to now building that community that we're speaking about. But like, if I want someone to start the next Venmo, the next PayPal, I need to actually give them access to all these customers. We're building use cases, and so there are people who are using us for a variety of things, but there's such potential. We're building a business that's going to make it possible for you to reach all 50 plus countries. So that involves a little bit of work. The use cases are to keep us growing revenue-wise and everything. But I think the biggest thing is going to be that underlying community and everything they can build once everything is available to them, or the majority is available to them.
Okay, thank you. So can you tell me some interesting experiences in your time as the CEO, as an African CEO, African female CEO?
Yeah. So my team is the best thing ever. Because Teresia and I are experienced, we're having some very impressive people want to come and work for us, which has been the most humbling experience. So I'm always in awe of the people on the team. We have a Monday morning meeting and I keep quiet most of the meeting because people know what they're doing. And just watching your dream, your little idea just blossom like this and in the hands of people who are so experienced has been amazing. So I think the best part for me has been the team and being able to get that team together. Like I told you, when I was at Rapid, I worked with the smartest people. I'm trying to make sure we can have that experience because amazing things happen when there are all of these smart, experienced people building a product.
Okay, so what would you describe as a rewarding aspect of your business?
When you can keep quiet, that's the first thing. When you can keep quiet during the team meeting and you see people grow and you see people questioning and you see just how like things are being built, it's been the most rewarding. The team has been the most rewarding thing. Coming from like single API, 10, 100, 100,000, being able to process, we have at least 50 million individual records, like lines of records that we've processed, that we've analyzed. That's crazy when you think about it. That growth has been to see. Yeah.
Thank you. And then what would you say, or what is your advice to encourage other young people, young women in particular, because in Africa, we don't get to see, or even globally, we don't get to see a lot of women in tech, and then coming to Africa again, it's like it's a space for men. So how would you say we can open up that space for other ladies looking to join in?
How do you open up the space? So I think the thing is, in this life, you have to believe that there's nothing too good for you. There's nothing that is close to you. and that there's no room you don't deserve to be in. So the first thing is believing you deserve to be in those rooms, and then going after it. It's really hard for people to say no to you when you're the best. And so I would tell everyone who wants to work in tech, work on your skill set. It's not just founding a business, it's having experience, being able to show this is the work that I've done so far, look back at it. And that is going to open more doors. Become so good they can't say no.
That's nice. Become so good they can't say no. I think I'm going to hold on to that. Thank you very much, Clara. All right. Let me see. So yes, I think we've pretty much gone through everything. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about Credrails?
I don't know. Is there anything you want to ask? Anything you want to ask that would be off the record? Whatever you want to ask me, ask.
Who has the best jollof? Did you try jollof rice when you were in Nigeria?
I lived there for a year. Of course I tried.
So who has the best jollof? You have to join the jollof war.
So I'm sorry. It's a horrible thing because I love everything else about Nigeria, but I'll say the Ghanaians have it. Here's why. We're more used to basmati rice in Kenya than we are the one that you
rice.
use.
Yeah.
That tastes different to me. So the Ghanaian one tastes more like what I'm used to. However, my favorite Nigerian meal is fresh pounded yam. I don't need poundo. Fresh pounded yam and egusi.
Oh wow, that's like a very, very good choice. Not rice, not everything. Pounded yam, right? Egusi.
Fresh pounded yam. I don't need poundo.
Okay, not poundo.
Fresh pounded yam with egusi that has pomo. I really like pomo.
That's interesting. Yes.
I don't like shaki, but like with beef and pomo, that's my favorite meal. So every time I come to Nigeria, I go to Yellow Chili. I have my pounded yam and egusi.
All right. So can we expect you in Nigeria anytime soon?
I'm in Nigeria every few weeks because Nigeria is one of our markets, right?
Yes, right.
So I'm coming this quarter, but my co-founder is going to be, so I'll definitely have her reach out. But I'll be there next quarter. We're actually going to be living between Nairobi and Nigeria.
Oh, I hope you can come to our office one of these days just to get to see and speak a little bit more. Maybe to you or your co-founder.
Absolutely. Are you on the mainland or the island?
We're on the mainland.
Right. So I have customers that are on the mainland. So when I'm coming to see my customers, I'll definitely come.
Oh, that's great. What are some of the companies that you are working with in Nigeria, if that's something you can discuss?
I don't know if I can actually mention it, but AutoCheck in Kenya. I have to check with everyone else if I can mention the Nigerian ones.
I understand.
I have to check with them. But yeah, we have a few, and I come to the mainland to see the clients.
All right, we'll be looking forward to that thing.
So we are, and I think that the other thing, you asked me the other thing that's been really great as a CEO, seeing former colleagues at Flutterwave also start businesses. So there's like Lemonade Finance, and like being able to talk to him and just like him becoming a customer, that kind of stuff, because that's what grows an ecosystem. The way there's a PayPal mafia, there needs to be a similar mafia. And that comes from successful exits and things like that. So those are the things that really, or selling secondary. So those things are the things that we want to see more of on the continent.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much, Clara. This was nice. I hope we do it again. And my regards to Olga. I don't know. Are you both in Kenya and Nairobi?
Olga is in South Africa.
Oh, all right then. I hope she's well.
I'll catch up with her. When will this be going up?
I would let you know as soon as possible. I will definitely reach out to inform you of the time it will be going up.
All right, cool. We'll definitely share it across. I see you write a lot about women in tech. I looked at some of your articles. Do you want to work in tech?
Think of this as my introduction into the tech space. Before now, I used to think of myself as a technophobe. Like the only thing I could do on my computer was just type, watch my movies and go, because it seemed very overwhelming. But now writing in that space is giving me insights into different places, and maybe eventually something I'll do. For now, I can just look into that space and see what's going on. People like you are very encouraging. If I decide to take that step fully into tech, I think I know that I have giants I can look up to and talk to.
Can I tell you something? Definitely. I wrote a series for the Mail and Guardian Africa about startups. I actually will send you a link. Let me just find it right now and chat. Mail and Guardian Africa. And basically, I wanted to know, what does it take to run a startup? Let me see. Mail and Guardian Africa. And so I wrote a whole series. So I also used to write. And this is when I went to national development. And I wanted to know what it was like to run a startup. And I will find those for you and find those articles for you. But yeah, definitely a way that you can get into that. Interest starts there, and like, look where my life is, right?
Right. You have this amazing history, especially in the fintech space. You've done so well for yourself, and there's more. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Tried my very best. I think I even wrote about. So one of them was Wilson's Juice.
Okay, could you please? I think
you know Wilson's Juice.
No, I don't.
You do. You've seen it in the supermarket. You just didn't pay attention. Wilson's Juice lemonade, and I remember writing about Wilson's Juice, and also. So the founder came back, he went to Stanford, and I spoke to him about what it was like being a founder. I actually need to reach out to him and tell him, hey, I did the same thing.
Well, speaking of certifications in tech, after your environmental science degree, what else have you done in terms of upskilling yourself so far over the years? I'm pretty sure you've had.
To get into tech, or just in general?
Just in general, or to enhance you in that space?
In the sense of that, I will be honest and say all I did was work.
Okay.
In the sense, I put my head down and did my job. I did a mid-career or an early career fellowship when I was working in social enterprise. So I did one in Amsterdam. But I actually ended up in Nigeria while I was applying for business school, and I decided to move to Nigeria rather than go to business school. So I got into business school, and I decided Nigeria would be a better education for me than business school. And so I passed business school to come to Nigeria, and I'm pretty happy with my decision.
That's great. But not everybody would think that way. I think, maybe mostly in the tech industry is a question of what you can do. You have to prove what you can do. It's not necessarily the certificates you hold. But would you say still certifications are important?
I'm an African. There'll never be a point where I say education is worthless. I just made the choice that was best for me at the time, right? There was an opportunity there. And I decided to seize the opportunity. And like, remember what I told you about my intuition? My intuition told me, run with this. Look at where we are.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much. And if you know any other women who would be willing to speak to me, I would really, really appreciate that. We are trying to place African women to highlight their work in the African tech space. So kindly send them.
I will definitely think about it. I will ask a few people. But like you said, there are not that many African women But it's starting to be more and more, like I'm seeing more developers. It's important to us even as a business to like try and have a balance, and then also work on the pipeline. So there's something that you should look into. It's called, let me type it down here. Chat, Akili Dada, Akira sorry. And what they do is that they work with developers, to like women developers, to increase their skill set and help them. So maybe that would be a nice company to speak to, because they're helping with the pipeline problem.
All right, thank you. In your own company, have you gender inclusion in your company? Do you make a conscious effort towards hiring female workers?
We make a conscious effort when it comes to hiring. We make a conscious effort when it comes to who our vendors are. We make a conscious effort in every single way, because I can't say that I want to be a woman in business and I don't support other women in business. So we try and make sure that it's balanced. We want to start doing more work definitely with things like that. There's also someone else that you should speak to. Her name is Dr. Shao Bogro. She started a mentorship for developers, or basically students in tech, to be able to like equip them with the skills so they can be better at the job market. So she runs this mentoring thing. She's been in, I think, Vogue and everything. She's really good at this, and it's definitely a passion project of hers. And she has a PhD in computer science.
Okay, that's great. Speaking of mentorship, do you have any mentors, women you look up to?
I do, in the sense that I see women who do really well and definitely look up to them. I have people who definitely like open doors for me. I think at work, it's not necessarily a mentor as much as it's an advocate. I think people should learn how to have like an advocate at work. So someone who's going to put your work forward and speak to you and speak about how your work has been good and put you up for opportunities. It's really important to have that. It's an advocate, it's a sponsor. That's really important. When it comes to mentors, who do I think about? My mother's the hardest working person I know, so my mom. My sister as well. She's very successful doing what she does. She's a doctor. I look at women in tech. So there's Melody Hobson, who is actually a VC. I really look up to. I look up to women who break glass ceilings. Right. And that's the energy I want to go into the world with.
Yes, women in tech in Africa, people like you are already breaking that ceiling for others looking to join that ceiling. So thank you for your service.
Yeah. All right. And also Odun from Piggyvest. Like I really like
Odun. Yes, she's sort of like the face of women in tech somehow, because a lot of people know her.
My friend Sheon Ramshere, she was VP of product at Chip, and now she works at Chip. So Sheon is really also someone that I talk to often. We're really good friends, so there's definitely that. There's a VC called Barbara Iyai. She runs a company called Unicorn Growth. She went out and started her own fund, and raising a fund is a lot of work. We have an angel investor called Shefali Roy. She was the former COO of TrueLayer. And before that, she was the CIO for Stripe.
Okay.
So she's fantastic, and all of these women. And there's also a VC, her name is Maria Palmer. I was just on her podcast in London. Just people who hold your hand, open doors. I think that's actually something that's really important. I never want to be the only African in a room, the only African woman in a room. There's absolutely no pride in that. I want to open the door so there's lots of us. I want to look across the room and there's lots of us.
That's fantastic.
That's definitely the goal. The goal is that a lot more of us are in these rooms, a lot more of us are in these positions. And it's not just opening the door for other people, but being successful enough so that people can say, okay, we make this investment. We can make another investment because this investment has proven to be worthwhile.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much. Thank you. This was a pleasure. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, Clara. I would text you later. And the links to the articles or the series you worked on.
I did a quick Google search and I couldn't find them, but I will look for them. They're still there. But it was a startup series, and I'm sure I can find the ones that I sent out to them. So I'll maybe look for those backlinks. But yeah, it was good. It was a very good experience speaking to those entrepreneurs and speaking about Nigeria. So yeah, I used to write as well. It was because I had this interest as what is it like. I've always wanted to run a business. So it was a way for me to like see what the path looks like.
All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, Clara. Bye.
Thank you, Dara. Bye.